One simple oversight can cost you for the rest of your life. Today, we're covering what you need to know about Medicare Part D penalties and how to avoid them. Welcome back to another episode of Medicare Happy Hour, the most fun you'll have on the internet while talking about Medicare. Now, today I am actually sipping on a non-alcoholic, obviously, green tea because while it's almost spring, pretty much everyone I know is sick. So cheers. So there's two ways for you to get Medicare Part D or prescription drug coverage. The first of which is a standalone Medicare Part D drug plan. So this you would purchase on your own and it would pair with either a Medicare supplement or if you're just on original Medicare. Now the second option then would be for those individuals that are looking at a Medicare Advantage plan, because Medicare Advantage plan prescription drug plans, MAPD, those do include your Part D drugs with it. You can't go on a Medicare Advantage only and purchase a Part D drug plan to go with it, but the vast majority of Medicare Advantage plans are MAPD plans, which include the Part D drug. So if you want to learn more about the 2025 Part D drug plan, some costs, some savings mechanisms, etc., go ahead and click here. But today we're just focusing on the Part D drug penalties. So let's dive in. What exactly is the Part D late enrollment penalty? Well, essentially what they're trying to do, what the government or Medicare is trying to do is say that if you don't select a Medicare Part D drug plan initially when you're on Medicare or when you're eligible, when you eventually do take one, you're going to pay a penalty for every month you didn't have it. So let's check out what that is. So if you go over 63 days, so 63 days plus, without Part D or equivalent creditable coverage after becoming eligible for Medicare, then that is when the Part D late enrollment penalty will kick in. So essentially what this is a small dollar amount, and I'll go through how they calculate it and what that looks like in just a minute. So don't worry about that just quite yet. But what they're going to do is add that Part D late enrollment penalty onto your monthly Part D premium, and it's going to be for the rest of your life. So you're going to pay a penalty for every month you weren't on it, every month moving forward. So it's a set dollar amount. What they do is they take 1% of the national base beneficiary premium. So essentially they average out all of the Part D drug plans in the country, and they come up with what is the average Part D drug plan cost. And in 2025, it's $36.78, as you'll see here. So you're going to pay 1% of that per month for the rest of your life for each month you weren't on that. Again, I'm going to go through an example in a minute, but it does multiply by the number of months that you weren't covered. So essentially, let's go through an example here. So if you enroll in Medicare and maybe pick up a supplement, or you're just on original Medicare and you say, I don't take any drugs, I don't want a Part D drug plan, and you go 6 months without a Medicare Part D drug plan, you would pay 1% of that $36.78. So essentially just over 36 cents times 6 months. So $2.21, we rounded this, of course, but you're going to increase your monthly premium for the rest of your life by that $2.21. This is not a significant number for 6 months, but you have to keep in mind you're going to be paying that now moving forward indefinitely. So, it just kind of goes up from here. So if you're uncovered for 12 months, it's going to be $4.41. Again, we rounded these. And so that's going to increase your monthly premium for the remainder of your life. Now, a question I get here is Medicare Advantage plans, there's a lot of them that are zero premium. How does that work? Well, you would essentially pay this $4.41 or $2.21 instead of paying zero. Now, 24 months uncovered, you can see how it just continues to increase from here. So 1% of that times 24 months is $8.83. So again, not to sound like a broken record, but the important thing to keep in mind here is that is added to your monthly premium indefinitely forever. All right, now some ways that you can avoid the Part D late enrollment penalty are as follows. At the end of the day, if when you're selecting your Medicare option, when you first turn 65 or take Medicare, you're in your initial enrollment period and you just select either a Medicare Advantage plan that includes it or a Part D drug plan to go with original Medicare or your Medicare supplement, then you can avoid the penalty. Now, frankly, I've also seen people who they don't take any drugs, but they'll pick up the least expensive Part D drug plan in their area just to use it as a placeholder. So that way they can avoid the penalty. So, in the long run, I don't know if that truly evens out, but it does help you to avoid the penalty. All right, the second one on here is creditable drug coverage. Now, this is very important for those of you that are planning to work past 65 and are on an employer plan. Every year, your employer is required to tell you whether your health insurance plan that they offer you is considered creditable for both Part B and Part D. So essentially, just sticking with the Part D, what that means is the structure, and we have several videos about this, so go ahead and check out one of those if you have questions about the structure of the Part D drug plan. But if their plan is at least as good as the structure that CMS or Medicare has created, then they're known as a creditable drug plan. If your employer plan is considered creditable, then you can avoid the penalty when you eventually enroll in Medicare. If your employer plan is considered non-creditable, when you go on Medicare eventually, you are going to have to pay that penalty. We've seen some people go ahead and pick up a Part D drug plan just to avoid this. There are several options. As always, give us a call if you want to talk through this. Next is the special enrollment period if something applies to you for some reason. The next one is if you qualify for extra help. And again, I've talked about this in other videos, but if your income's under a certain level, you're eligible for a low income subsidy to help you pay for your prescriptions. And then last is just every year during the annual enrollment period, review your plan, especially on the prescription drug plan. Make sure that the drugs you take are still covered by the insurance company in which you're enrolled in a plan and that you can get the most bang for your buck. So this is just critical. Do it every fall between October 15th and December 7th, just to make sure the plan you're on still works for the following year. So to wrap up, you can easily avoid this penalty. It's something that we can help with. It's something that I would highly encourage you to just really check out your options. Don't assume just because you don't take any prescription drugs that you never will take any prescription drugs. And, constantly your health might change, your situation might change. It's always worth being prepared. If any of this surprised you, let us know in the comments below. If either you or someone you know has been hit with a significant penalty, let us know. Share your experiences. And at the end of the day, give us a call. We're here to help.